things in the moment.
In the
so
moment,
that's
last minute. Last
so
minute.
no spirits today, but maybe.
Although we were haunted on Halloween Day. Remember we were haunted by the spirit when Floyd was here? Remember all of a
Yeah,
sudden the backdrop
everything kept
kicked
going
off and
blank. Yeah, it was the poltergeist was helping us
the
out.
poltergeist of Fact TV.
Anyway, here we are. It's November 14th. We're past elections. We're on our way to Thanksgiving, and thanks for that. But tomorrow night, we're going to have a big Fact TV event called Strange Events at the Vilas Bridge 2, The Fracture. We're going to premiere the show that we've been working on. First, we're going to talk about some local events. What do you have going on as locally?
So this is 3FBF in Bellows Falls. So there's always a lot of events going on in general on the third Friday of the month. But Wool, our sister station, the radio station down at 33 Bridge, is doing their annual silent auction fundraiser.
That's always a good one. I always get a lot of Christmas presents.
I was just gonna say, I know Mike does most of his Christmas shopping there, so you will see Mike with a giant Santa bag. It's from 5 to 8 p.m. It's at 33 Bridge. There will be food and drink available, and there's no fee to get in, so you can just wander in.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You wander around, write things down, write your bids down, so it's not like you're pressured. It's not like you're at where there's an auctioneer.
And it's pretty
pressuring you.
eclectic, right?
There's all sorts of different things. There's art, there's practical things, there's food, there's like
gift certificates
baskets,
from
gift
Greater Rock
certificates. Just everything you can imagine.
And that's their main, I think that's one of their main fundraisers.
I think it is too, yeah.
So just really putting it out there that you stop in even for a little bit and just help support what folks are doing down at Wool Radio. And then Saturday, there's kind of an interesting event happening at the Village Square Booksellers. A local gentleman who I'm sure a lot of people know because he does a lot of writing for newspapers, and I believe he also does the local writes about local things. Joe Milliken has written a book. He's written a book. It's called Let's Go. It's about Benjamin Orr and the Cars. Yeah. And so his book launch is on Saturday at 5 p.m. at the Village Square Booksellers.
Great.
So if you want to go and talk to him about the process of writing a book and just support local, and that's awesome.
Or about the Cars in
Cars,
general.
yeah,
They were great.
that
They
was
were one of my
probably-
favorite groups in the
I had that.
in the day.
I'm dating myself now because I had them on cassette,
Nah,
and it was one.
I had them on album.
Oh wow! Okay, Mike's way older
Mike's
than me.
really old.
But I remember. Do you remember the you could join a music club?
Oh.
And you could buy.
Yeah, that was one of those. You got 3 things for free, but then you had to buy so many
every
a month.
month you had to. You got like a cassette of the month, and if you didn't want it, you sent it back. But you got that initial, I think it was like 13 for a penny, and that was one of the ones I ordered. And I remember when that box came, and I remember playing that cassette till probably almost wearing it out. So a lot of history with the Cars.
Yes.
And then also not so people don't forget that this is the second weekend of Charles Henry's Final Curtain.
That's true.
Out at Main Street Arts, Friday night, Saturday night, and then there's a matinee on Sunday. So it's your last chance to see it.
Yes, it is, and it's very good. I have to.
Very
I mean,
performance.
it's local writers, local performers, local theater. It is just amazing.
And local Vermont history.
And local Vermont history. Yeah, it's really good. Marty and I are working on another project that we're sort of documenting the process of making it and what the writers think about it and what the director thinks about it, and that may be coming to Fact TV here in December. But
and I'm thinking that Ken Burns probably isn't going to have to worry about
Yeah,
his
I know.
documentary
Yeah.
status, but we're going to take a good run at it. We're
yeah,
going to take
that's
a good run at
that's
it.
one of my themes is you shouldn't be afraid to do things just because it may not be perfect.
There you go.
Yes. Speaking of things that we've done that may not be perfect but still are a lot of
Here's
fun.
your segue.
Yeah, that was really a good segue. Is Strange Events at the Vilas Bridge. Another locally produced, locally written, local talent, and
totally locally conceived.
locally conceived. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, and it's a production, episodic television production that we've now have 2 episodes out. And there's always questions whether there would be a 3rd episode, but
I've read the script for the 3rd episode.
yeah, I know.
I just happen to have
I know
a
that it's
preview of
out
the
there.
script.
And
It's out there.
when you're doing the 2nd episode,
You're
no
thinking,
one
"I don't
wants
wanna
to
do
do
this
the
again."
3rd. But when you get to the premiere of the second episode, now everybody is saying we should do a third. So
Well, I think what I was trying to explain to my class this morning, I was talking about it, and one of the questions that came up was did you have to have seen the first episode?
oh
And I said
well,
not necessarily.
not necessarily.
I think it's helpful to,
Yeah.
and maybe you could give us a little synopsis.
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to show can we show the
fine.
clip first and go and come back and do a synopsis?
Hey guys, are you guys still friends with Kara?
Why?
She was really rude to me just now.
The sight of you insults my eyes. Be gone, Troll.
In his agitated state, he pleads with unseen tormentors. He cowers and tries to ward off something or things that fly around his head.
Cults of Vermont and a cult history of New England? Aren't you a little young for this stuff?
We are going to have such a delightful time. I want to part company on the best of circumstances. The last thing I want is a confrontation.
Stay away from us!
All right, very suspenseful,
Very
isn't it?
suspenseful.
Yes.
Very suspenseful ending and very good camera work and very nice editing. Kudos, Alex.
Did you see the drone flying? Huh?
I did see the drone. Is that you? Were you droning on that?
I'm just trying to get some. You're
credit.
giving it all to
I wasn't
Alex
I
here,
wasn't
you
sure
know.
if you were doing I wasn't. I knew you were. I wasn't sure exactly what you did. I know you helped out. I know you were. You got called into action for acting too, didn't you?
I did. I was an orderly.
An
I always
orderly.
did like to do a little
Little
piece
little
there.
piece in front of the
Yeah,
camera.
it's fun. It is, and that's what I really point out. It's fun.
And breaking news, you can watch the first episode
Yes.
on YouTube. So if you go to the Fact TV YouTube page, it's there. Or you can just go to the Fact TV website. It's up.
It's on both.
Easily accessible.
It's on both things, and if you go to the Fact TV Facebook page,
It's there too,
the links to those are posted there
Yep,
too.
and
So
I've been sharing the link out. It's about 40 minutes. It's worth watching. You know, again, you don't have to, but it does give you the backdrop.
yeah, and I was going to talk a little bit about it here, in that it was actually conceived after one of the several. We've always tried to do like community projects in the summer here, as far as Fact TV doing and after the Vilas Bridge closed and everybody was all up in arms about trying to get it open and things were going on, we thought it'd be fun to do a Vilas Bridge themed show. So we came up with a plot. I came up with the concept, and then Alex and I sort of wrote out the first episode, and it's basically about kids who live in Bellows Falls. There's 4 kids who are the main characters. There's Kara, Drew, Kieran, and Gabe, and they're 4 kids that sort of come together in Bellows Falls. They're hard luck kids. Drew's mom is a heroin addict. Kieran's dad is in jail. Gabe's parents are separated, and he's living with his grandparents. And the only sort of I guess what we would call normal or person who's not from a dysfunctional family is Kara, who's the sheriff's or the police chief's daughter. And they all come together and they sort of get in trouble with the local law because they're playing around in the parking lot, and they throw a balloon, and they this Deputy Dan, who's there, Officer
bad
Dan.
guy.
I know we call him Deputy Dan, but his character's Officer Dan, and he's sort of a bully guy, and he chases him around, and basically takes him in and tells them they're in big trouble and stuff, and they're trying to get away from him, and they're hiding out, and they see that he's a drug dealer. But as they're down doing that, they also Kara starts experiencing hallucinations and things around the bridge.
The paranormal.
Right? And she starts seeing things, and things start happening, and she's talking in about different things. And Gabe, the the sort of brainiac kid, he goes to the library and he learns that there actually was things happening back in the past that Kara's talking about. That there was a legend about this couple, and that had something to do with the bridge. And he looks through articles that were, and actually we had real articles that were about the real opening of Vilas Bridge. We had
nice.
pictures. Yeah, it was
Because
really.
the library has a wealth of that type
Yeah,
of
and
stuff.
so it's based on some. There's some fact in there, but we sort of built up a legend that
Story,
was.
yeah.
And anyway, what they do is while they're doing this research, they run into an old man Stearns at the library, and he looks like he may be a Native American, and he sort of describes himself as he could be a Native American, but he starts talking about different things that happened and about this legend about how these two kids fell in love across the river, and they ended up building a bridge across the river, and then there was a jealous kid in Walpole whose name was Donnie, who was the rich kid who was wealthy, who was actually based on Donald Trump. But that's a little known but interesting fact.
Because that'll bring people in droves.
But he's mean and nasty, and he when the water rises in a flood one day, he cuts the bridge and strands the girl in the middle of the river, and the boy on the other side of the river pleads to whatever to get help, and somehow the girl is miraculously saved, but as the entity that saves them leaves, it says, but I helped you out, now you have to build a bridge that will connect the two communities forever, otherwise the curse will return. And so,
the curse returns because the bridge is closed.
so there you go. That's the bridge closes, and the kids are like saying, well, wait a minute, maybe this is why all these bad things are happening in Bellows Falls. The bridge closed, and all this, it's depressed. Factories are leaving. All these things are happening, and they sort of come up with this odd plot that they would close the bridge, or they would open the bridge again by covering up all the bridge closed signs. And in the middle of them doing this plot, they run into this spirit again, and the spirit's fighting them and trying to keep them from doing it. And they end up one of the children ends up to be sort of I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, was this gonna be a spoiler alert?
No, this
Okay.
I guess it is a little bit of a spoiler alert, because he's sort of demon repellent is what they call it you should watch the first episode, and through the actions, they end up opening the bridge again, and it seems like everything's lifted, but then at the very end, Officer Dan steps in.
Uh-oh.
And there's a big blow up at the end. Episode 2 starts off there, where what has happened to the kids afterwards, what has happened to Officer Dan, who's and what's going on in the town, and so it's an interesting idea.
There's a mix of fiction, but you brought in a little bit of fact, which
Right.
is good.
And so all the characters are back. Mr. Old Man Stern's back, and all the kids are back, and Officer Dan is back. So
and some new characters.
and there's some
I
new
saw some new
characters. We
faces.
have
I saw some new
we have some
faces.
new. There's
Again, locally recognized faces.
yes, exactly.
George Powers.
Yeah. George Powers and me, and there's a couple.
And Barbara.
Don Tretler is in it. He's a psychiatrist, and Barbara's a psychiatrist, and it takes place in this building and in other places. So I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
It's entertaining. It's about 45 minutes long, right? Each of
It's
the episodes?
it's going to be about 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
It's coming down to the final cut
The final
right now,
cut,
and
Might
Alex
be-
is telling
might
me
be shorter than
it
that,
was
no.
no, it was
No.
it was getting actually a little longer. I think I'm not sure. I have to look at it.
What I think is important for people to know is exciting is I think it's exciting for the kids to see, for the people that produced the show. I actually didn't have anything to do with this, but I can understand how if you put all this work into it and then you go see it and you see it on the big screen, you want to have a good audience there.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
if you're not doing anything Thursday night, it's free. It's about an hour of your time, And I just remember last year at the premiere when he did it. It was the first time the kids had seen it,
Mm-hmm.
and then got to see themselves on the big screen, which is kind of a big. It's
That
kind of
is a
cool.
big
It's
deal.
bigger
It's
than seeing it on
cool.
TV, and just the reactions that they had
Yeah.
were like priceless as to the chatter and then talking about it afterwards, and it's a lot of work. I mean, how when you were filming episode 2, like how much time was
Oh,
that?
it was a
It was a
like,
chunk.
Yeah, it was a chunk of time because we would spend, and it was actually better. We were better organized this time, and we were better equipped to do what we were doing. But it still was like days of you all day long, 2 days a weekend, and, 3 day weekends for the month, pretty much the month of August through most of that time.
So a lot of work there's a lot of behind the scenes work. These things don't just
Well,
Don't
and
just
then
happen.
Alex put together a couple
other-
months of editing.
editing,
here,
yeah. Because you have all this
Um,
footage, you're like, oh my God, how am I gonna
Right.
link
Yeah.
it all together? And what you always film more than you need, or you should film more than you need. But then, which is good. But then it's like, how do I cut it down to just what I need?
Yes, and you never have what you need.
Like, dang.
I think that's what Alex says. You film like every possible thing you
Angle.
could possibly need, and then you're in the middle of editing saying, "Why didn't we shoot that?"
Yeah.
Or how come this didn't work? Because I know he went back and did a lot of post, and they went back and had to do like re-record dialogue and things like that, and they do that in here, which brings up an interesting segue. Is the reason we do this is not because we think we're going to be Ken Burns or
Martin
Leonardo
Scorsese.
DiCaprio or Martin Scorsese or some. We do it because, one, we like it, but then two, it presents an opportunity for people to learn. And
that's
that was the main reason we got started in this. And I don't know if you remember, this actually started before Alex. It started with Jake when Jake used to do the
Film
summer
camp, right?
Summer
Summer
film
film camp, and you do
And
production.
my first contact with Fact TV was I was a zombie extra on one of the Broad Brothers zombie movies, and we'd laugh about it, and it is funny. And they went on and did like several movies.
Yeah, and they're actually they
And
have
they're
their own production
producing.
company now.
They have their
yeah.
own production company. So when we say, well, what's going to happen with this? They're like the classic example. They went to school. They're
They
still
found their passion.
Yeah, they're still producing films, and this is it's sort of an unconventional education. You could go to the tech center, you can go to the high school, and they can talk about film. But when you're here and you're producing film,
You're getting the real experience.
yeah. And another what I would call success story is Byron Morris, he filmed both these episodes. He started filming last summer, and he filmed a major portion of this one, and he was in this one as Captain Black, the drug dealer. He's now in LA studying film. So, here we are in Bellows Falls, and you might not get the idea that you can go to LA and study film, or you might not get, it sort of opens up possibilities that I don't think you get by just living here and saying, well, I'm going to live here all my life and do whatever.
Well, I also think it allows people that are like maybe I don't want to use the term closet actors or actresses, but hobbyists
Yeah,
actors
hobbyists
and
is a good way of
actresses,
saying that.
for lack of a better term, that allows them to have a outlet, a creative outlet, or people that like to film or want to know more about film or want to know how does a production like this occur? Because if you've been on any kind of Fact TV shoot or been involved in any kind of filming, you learn a lot, and then when you go and you watch a movie, it's amazing the things that
Exactly.
you notice. So I noticed that when I was I think I forgot to tell you, when I went to see A Star Is Born a couple weeks ago, and I was sitting there, and I was watching, and all of a sudden I heard my little voice in my brain going, "Wow, that's really good camera work.
Yeah.
That was a good angle. That
Yeah,
was a good,"
yeah.
and all the different things, just the things I've picked up on the fringe of doing things with Fact TV. So I think it's a fun experience, and it's a great learning experience, and it's either for someone that wants to maybe pursue a career, and learn more about it, or somebody that just wants to get involved and kind of, has a curiosity about it.
Right.
And I'm sure you will be producing episode 3.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll
Alex
see.
will say.
Alex is
probably
going to
he's
make people
done
sign contracts, I
contracts.
think, before we
But
get to
I
episode
think
3.
that if anyone, I would encourage people to go see it. Number one, just to support the people that put all the work into it. And number two, who knows? Maybe there might be a part for you in episode 3, and you can get involved.
Yeah, exactly.
And it can maybe become a bigger community project, an ongoing bigger community project that because you tied a bunch of different aspects of the community together. You use the library and the fact that they have amazing historical records in there. You use the Vilas Bridge. You used a lot of different spaces in town, which you wouldn't think you could find locations.
Yeah,
and I challenge
there's a wealth
anyone
of
to figure
locations.
out, because I couldn't even figure out where you filmed KMO in his
Oh,
hospital
in his
room.
in his
I
mental.
challenge anyone to figure out where that is here in the building, because I had a hard time. Like, what did you? Where was that?
Yeah.
But anyway, well,
Yes, we
keep
have
that
a
a
police
secret
station
until,
and a mental health facility.
We'll
and
keep that a
a whole
secret
bunch
until
of other
afterwards.
places.
But if you can figure out where that was filmed, you get kudos.
But it also ties back to sort of what we were talking about with Charles Henry's Final Curtain too. It's like this. There's a whole group of people that are doing things that maybe wouldn't be if you were in New York or something. Be like, oh, how quaint. But here it allows people to really grow and express themselves and be artists. And I really believe that there's a real value to that. We were talking with Cass Morgan, who she wrote the Charles Henry, and she was saying she's never been in a production where she didn't grow personally from it. And a lot of people, if you're thinking about self-help and all these different things, here's another way you can express yourself, and you can come above the normal mundane things that we do every day and be an artist.
And put yourself maybe outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, and definitely that.
I don't know who I was talking to. I was talking about something about Fact TV over the weekend, and talking about the show, and someone said, "Oh, I could never be in front of the camera." And I thought, well, I probably like if you asked me 20 years ago, I don't think I would have said I would ever be comfortable in front of the camera.
I was totally afraid of
walking
speaking
into
in public.
a studio at 7:30 and knowing we had to fill 27 minutes of time, and not really knowing exactly what we were going to talk about, but not worried about it because I knew that we could figure it out. If I was looking at a crystal ball and the person told me that was my future, I'd be like, you're crazy. So I think there's opportunity. I think there's opportunities to produce shows here at Fact TV. We're always looking for content, not just the big productions, but there can be little productions. You can do your own show here at Fact TV. And
that's a great segue into one of the things we want to encourage people to be producers. The hardest thing about being a producer is coming up with an idea of something you want to say. And I think there are a lot of people out there that actually have really good ideas, but block those ideas because they don't think they know the technical pieces.
I think the easy part is the idea.
Oh, really?
I think the easy part is having the concept. At least for me, the easy part is having the concept. It's the technical nuts and bolts of how do I make that concept come to fruition? How do I make it interesting, something that other people want to watch? And the technical pieces.
Well, you should come to Fact TV because that's what Fact TV specializes in. They can take the concept and move it into a production really easily. I mean, the concept for Strange Events I actually have it here. It's like 4 pages long. It was like nothing. It was like Strange Events. Oh, we're going to do this. Oh, okay, fine. Boom. And then Alex and everyone else fleshed that all out into, now we have 2 episodes. Another interesting thing that I find is we have a new show called, and I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's Grandma Kitty's Story Time or something. It's a great show. And again, it was a person who they said, well, I think I'd like to do a children's show. She came in, they worked with her, they helped her set up a set, but it was her idea of what it was that made it work. And now it's getting all sorts of views. They have like 250, 300 viewers, which is big for Fact TV, on the website.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So if you're interested and you want to see what types of things can happen at FACT, then come to the event tomorrow night. Starts at 6.
Yeah, starts
At
at
the Opera
6.
House, there's
At
no
the Opera
cost.
House, there's our,
We will be honoring producers also, so there'll be that aspect, people that produce, so you can see all the different people. There's quite a few people that produce at FACT TV that you might know or not know,
Yeah.
so you could talk to someone if you're interested, and we as board members will be around before and after the production if somebody wants to pitch a concept to
Yeah,
us. And
exactly.
we can
That's a
get you on
great
the
point.
path. We can get you on the path to making that concept a reality.
or if you would say, well, I don't really have an idea, but I'd always wanted to learn how to do something, I've just retired and I want to learn something new and I want to do editing or I want to do camera work and I have time and I want to contribute to some project. Here's
there you
your
go.
project. This is great.
Perfect. Well, we have managed to talk for 27
Yes,
minutes.
we have. It's amazing.
It is amazing. So next week on the feed, we have Sarah Chard, who's going to be coming in and going to be talking about some need in the community. And it's actually the perfect time to do it right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's a
So
good
she's going
time.
to
If
be
you're
talking about
giving,
giving, some
Yes.
things, some people that are in need in the community, and she's setting up a way to help them. So that's
Okay.
Sarah next week. Bye, community.
that's it, community. We'll see you next week on the feed.
That's it, folks, for the feed. Be sure to catch us every Wednesdays at 7:30 a.m. Also, find us on Facebook at FACT TV or tell us what you think. thefeed8@gmail.com. And don't forget to watch the feed online at www.fact8.com.